Today we're doing a Star Wars RPG Force and Destiny book review, Keeping the Peace, a source book for the Guardian career. Species, we got a good solid selection of 3 species. We have the Iktachi, the Lennic, which we actually covered before, and the Whippet. Don't say Whippet good, don't say Whippet good, don't say Whippet good. Whippet good, damn it! The Iktachi are a race of fortune tellers. They have a precognition ability that can see the future, and if you really want to go ridiculous and crazy with it, you could make a Mystic Career Seer specialization, get the 4C power from the core rulebook, and the Mystic Sourcebook. They had a signature ability, Prophecy, I think, that dealt with seeing the future. Get all 3 of those and this species, and you can just kind of min-max your way into seeing the future in all the different ways that you possibly can. Probably even get some kind of item from the Mystic Sourcebook that deals with seeing the future. Why not? That's what I would do. They got a culture, I bet, probably. Lennic are tough little bastards. Leader Sourcebook, I think. They were poorly statted in that one. They are objectively worse in that book than the Lennic are in this book. They should have more experience points. And there might be something else that's different. The number of dice from their Indomitable ability that it affects. I don't remember. Use this version of the Lennic. Anyway, Whippids are really big, tough, beefy, furry, beefy boys. Let's see, they help with survival checks in a really cool, unique way, as well as tusks, which allow them to brawl better. Kind of like claws, like the Trandoshan claws in a way, but different. It might literally just be claws, the Trandoshan claws. Not sure. Anyway, 3 species, a wide variety, with their own unique strengths in interesting ways, not just a free skill rank of this, although there is a bit of that, of course, but they have their own unique little abilities, which are really great. Next are the talent trees. We got Armorer, Warden, and War Leader. I've, of course, done full reviews and guides for each one of these. Overall, I like them. I think, yeah, Warden was one of my favorites. Warden may very well be one of my favorite trees in the game. It is a damage dealer, mostly a melee damage dealer, I believe, right? Yeah, melee. They're intimidating, and they use their intimidation to debuff enemies, mostly debuffing their attacks. Ooh, they lock down their movement. I remember that. They lock down their movement a lot. Go read the actual review for more details. I barely remember even talking about this. War Leader is another damage dealer and buffer of allies, which is really great. And you can attack a lot. That was the one cool thing about them, is the fact that you don't really have to decide, should I use my big buff or should I attack? Really, for the most part, you're attacking and buffing at the same time, either because it's a maneuver to buff or it's more passive. So you're always hitting people for the most part. And Armorer, it's, I guess, kind of like the Artisan from the Sentinel career, the core book. You are a crafter and lightsaber damage dealer. Get lightsaber as a career skill, which is nice. And it's one of those trees where you're really good at crafting, and you have Armorer in the title, which implies that you'd be especially good at crafting armor over other things. Not the case. You're good at using armor better than other pieces of technology. You have talents that will help you wear armor better, but you're not actually better at building armor. Even though you're an armorer, it makes sense you would, but that's not the case. Still a pretty decent tree, though. A crafter and damage dealer. Overall, pretty solid set of species and trees. Let's see, signature abilities. They're both tanking abilities. They just tank in different ways. So, Unmatched Heroism is more about directly taking damage for your allies, but it's a wide variety of allies from a wide variety of sources. You step in the way of attacks, basically. Whereas Fated Duel is different in the sense that, actually, we talked about a similar ability with the Ace Sourcebook, where basically you and a target are locked to the death, or at least for X amount of rounds, locked in combat, fighting each other, and both of you can't be affected by allies or enemies. And if you want, you can sort of make this have a specific reason for why you can't be affected. Like when I use this, because I had a solo player in a solo campaign, he used this in a situation where he was fighting there were multiple Sith, and also he had allies with him. So it was one of those classic movie scenarios where him and his rival started dueling, and meanwhile his allies started fighting it out with another Sith, Lord, a Darth. And if I wanted to, I could have decided, just narratively, the other enemies are trying to affect their little duel, but they just can't. You're so involved that you deflect the stormtrooper's blast back at them, or whatever. I guess not at them, because you're not affecting them. You deflect the stormtrooper's blasts, or they can't hurt you. You're just dodging, or you're just taking the hits. You're so focused on your enemy, and vice versa. Or you can put up some actual physical barriers between the pair of you and the rest of the party, the NPCs or whatever involved, which is what I did. Basically, I made it so the first round of attacks back and forth between them two, because they both had the top initiative slots, they sort of fought their way into an elevator. I think one force pushed the other, then the other followed. The other slashed controls, the elevator fell a couple stories, and then throughout the fight, I actually had it moving up and down in a fun way, and so added some flavor to the battle. Anyway, they were physically separate, so they couldn't affect or be affected by everyone else. It allowed for fun story stuff. Anyway, so they're both tanking, but in different ways. If you want to tank a really big bad boss, this is the way to go. If you want to be more of a general all-around tanker, especially tanking for multiple enemies, then Unmatched Heroism is the best way to go for you with that one. Really though, if I were playing a tank character, a Jedi Guardian tank, I'm going to want both of these. I think both of these are pretty awesome. I just have a variety of super tanking ability now. Forget force power, just get both signature abilities, and I can tank to the best of my ability in any kind of situation. Or, another thing, let's see, maybe you're playing a more aggressive character that's a Guardian. Fated Duel might work well because you're so focused on one enemy. You just go right after them and no one else can even attack him. That could be part of the reason that he can't be affected by your allies. You could say that other rebel troopers or whatever are shooting at the Lord and no, this one's mine, and your character deflects bolts away, protecting your enemy while slashing at your enemy. Because you might be playing a Guardian character whose personality doesn't really fit in with Fated Duel as it stands, but if you kind of describe it in that way, it might fit a really hyper-focused, aggressive kind of character. Not your typical Guardian personality, but still. That could make it interesting. Suppresses the power. You shut off powers. You can dampen incoming powers so they're less likely to affect you. You can also upgrade it to where you actively suppress and shut off powers, which is kind of great. Weapons, we got a couple Naboo weapons. Looks like Naboo blasters, especially the security pistol with the grappling hook on it. There's some other cool stuff, a lot of melee weapons. The big thing though, Guard Shoto, the Tonfa lightsaber, those are fun. Got one of those, but the main thing is armor, because this book introduces crafting rules, and so there's a couple pieces of armor, but mostly we have armor attachments. Mostly fairly affordable right out of the gate, depending on how many starting credits you get. You'd have to take on obligation or whatever other rules you're using in your campaign in order to purchase one or more of these armor attachments. There's some cool stuff here. Armor spikes, reflective shadow skin, like a stealthy kind of thing, quick shed so it can just come right off. That might be good in emergency situations. And there's a decent amount of vehicles, just a wide variety of ships, air, land vehicles, other equipment. Oh, there's medical equipment! That's right, this book, along with the soldier book, has more medical equipment than the colonist source book, which is actually, meant for doctors. They have the doctor talent tree, but no medical equipment in the colonist source book. I will never let that go, ever let that go. But yeah, we got some medical equipment because there was one talent tree that had 2 or 3 medical talents in it in the core book, so of course we have to have a couple pieces of medical equipment. So that's something. The VCX 100 Light Freighter, it's the Ghost, basically, from Star Wars Rebels, if you care. The crafting rules for armor, they are about what you would expect if you're familiar with crafting in this game at all. Either the lightsaber crafting, or especially the Technician Sourcebook crafting. We have templates, we have, 7 templates. 2 of them are restricted and really awesome and powerful. We have a nice wide variety, everything from the reinforced clothing, which is the heavy clothing from the core book, and everything is roughly half price of an equivalent armor in the core book, just like normal crafting weapons. We have a type of check to use. Some of the lighter ones, you can actually use survival instead of mechanics. And of course we have a chart for adding stuff onto your armor, even some ornamental stuff to help you with social checks a little bit, or other utility-based checks. We have a reputation system, which we saw in the Smuggler book. Basically, you do things, you might have positive or negative reputation, and that will help you positively, but also negatively, for different types of social checks. Oh, we also have adventure ideas. So they have stuff like monster slaying a monster, or impossible odds. Some sort of story where you have impossible odds you're going up against. You have to arm a small town, to prepare for an invasion. Or maybe you have some new technique you have to spend time learning. And they have an example or advice on how to do this, both as a single encounter or a slightly longer adventure for each of these types of Guardian stories. And also advice on general Guardian campaigns, and that completes the book. So, much like the Soldier Sourcebook, it has just about everything you'd really want from a career sourcebook for this particular career. There's, of course, a big emphasis on defense, armor, tanking, of course, but also helps like the Protector tree who wants to heal a little bit. All the trees have some sort of combat focus for the most part, so just about everyone has a little bit of something that will help them. And it's one of those things where if you're a Guardian, you're playing a Guardian character, why not buy it? Unless you really want to take your Guardian in a different direction, a very different tree to supplement what you already have. Other than that, there really is no reason not to buy this, assuming you're looking to buy something. As a GM supplement, it's not really anything special. If you're just running a Force and Destiny campaign, you're looking for more supplemental books, there's plenty to really round you out. The Mystic Source book is one. If you're going to buy a career source book, Mystic Source book will be before this one. And probably one of the others. This really just doesn't feel like a Force and Destiny source book. It's definitely a career source book for the Guardian career, and a good one at that. So, yeah, if you're playing a Guardian and you got money, buy it. Speaking of buying things, you can buy stuff at my Amazon store, and I'll get money for it. It won't really help you at all, but I'll get money for it, and then it'll be easier to justify making more videos, and I guess you'll get something out of it in that respect, but buy it and give me a small part of your money, and also you get a thing, I guess. I'm less interested in that last part.